Kate Allen, and I'm talking with Keva Bethel. She's just written a beautiful children's book. It's going to be a whole series, Adventures with Cohen. Keva, the last segment you said that you made a connection between children and Christ's teaching. What was that connection?
Suffer the little children to come unto me. Don't turn them away. You know, you have to protect the children. You have to listen to them. You have to pay attention. You have to actually, respond to them. It's not just listening to what they say, but reacting to what they're saying, because they're looking for an answer. If they tell you something, then they want to know that you're responding to them,
And you really listen to children. I notice in the office, when a child comes, you get down on that floor, you get with them, and what does the child do to you, Keva?
They're exciting. They bring out the excitement. They bring out your inner childhood. It's hard to ignore a child, Yeah. It's hard to ignore a child.
Don't they?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So your idea of writing a book for children then was what?
My idea was to, tap into my own creativity. I've written for academic journals. I've written for textbooks. So I just wanted to try my hand and see if I can change my genre. I've always had a heart for children. So like I said, during the pandemic, I said, okay, let me try this story. And this story soon, it caught on. And, someone suggested, well, you should try and get it published. And it was a long road, It was 2 years of hard work and sacrifices. But now I have it in my hand, so.
And publishing isn't easy, hey?
No, it's not.
I remember once you said you got the story written, but then you wanted to get the art to go with it.
Yeah,
and
the illustrations.
What was that like?
It was hard. It was hard,
You went as far as Paris in France.
I did have a French artist at one point. It just, with COVID-19, people were getting ill, and so deadlines.
How did you get around all the way to France to actual art?
Through a Bahamian contact here. We live in a global world now.
Wow.
It's the best time to be alive, Dr.
And
Allen.
then you went through that, and then you came one day and said, well, that's not working. So what did you do then?
My publisher, the book is being published by Trilogy, which is the publishing house of Trinity Broadcasting Network, TBN, and they were going to take on the illustrations. But when they gave me a sample of what they wanted, it didn't meet my vision. It's nothing like when you have a vision and you know the way that you want something. It just if it doesn't meet the mark, and I had to go and try and commission, local artists, and I had to, vet a few until I found one that was the right fit. And
that must have been frustrating, because I remember
really
you told me the publisher says, here's how we do the pictures.
Yeah.
But you said, I don't like that.
I didn't. I really wanted this piece to be something our Bahamian children could be proud of. You know what I mean? Like it's a story. It's set in the Bahamas. It has Bahamian characters. It's written by a Bahamian, illustrated by a Bahamian. So I didn't want it to be anything less than perfect. I wanted it to meet the gold standard, because I wanted to go global. Like TBN, they're going to put it in over 40,000 retailers, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. So I wanted our country to be seen in a certain light. I didn't want it to be anything less than the gold standard. So it was a lot of hard work.
Just show us some of the pictures and what you wanted, because I know you had to search wide and deep to find the artist to do the pictures how you wanted them.
So the book is illustrated by Joel T. Murray, and this is the cover of it, Adventures with Cohen, Coronavirus Changes Everything, and I'll just go through maybe about one or two of the illustrations so you can see here. So you can see here, yes.
Beautiful.
It's showing, our very local TV network, ZNS, and one of the reporters.
So when you first got the abstract back, the pictures they wanted to give you were not like those.
No, they weren't anything like these. So you'll see here the very worried little boy gazing out and FaceTiming. FaceTime became popular.
I didn't know you were an artist. How did you know what you wanted?
I'm not an artist. I just knew what I wanted. You just said it. The vision was inside of me. So I knew when I wrote the story and when I set my heart on getting it published, I just knew I wanted it a certain way, and anything less than the way I wanted it just wouldn't cut it.
And you had to pay extra for that, didn't you?
Yes, I did. It's a long road, but if you have a vision or a goal or something you want to do, you just have to stick with it. You have to stick with it and never give up, and one day you hope.
No, that's interesting, Keva, because there were a couple times you felt like this is too much.
It really
What
was.
made you stick with it?
What did make me stick with it? I really wanted to see it come to fruition. I really wanted to see it come to fruition. There was
Because many
a lot of
Bahamians want to publish,
opportunities.
they want to do it their way, but they go so far and then they get a hiccup or
There's
a block
many
and
blocks.
you give up.
There are many blocks.
What made you persist rather than giving up?
Like I said, it was something on the inside of me, you know. It was something on the inside of me that just wouldn't let.
Oh, so the book was inside you
The
before
story
it came
was
outside you.
Right. The story was inside me, and when I put it out on paper and I shared it with a few family and friends, it started out as a gift to the child, and then it just became so much more. The vision grew, like it just became so much more. And I was like, wait, instead of one child, what about all the Bahamian children? Then what about all children? So it was on the inside of me, and I wanted it. I wanted to see it to the completion. So, you know, all the children could have something about COVID written for them.
It reminds me of the story that Henry Nouwen used to tell. He said this little boy in Paris went to this very famous sculpture. He's a workshop sculptor. And the sculptor was chipping away at a piece of marble. And he said, "So what are you doing? What are you trying to chip out of the marble?" So the sculptor said, "Come back in 2 weeks' time and I'll show you." In 2 weeks' time, when the young boy went back to the sculptor's shop, there was a beautiful marble lion. And the little boy was surprised. He said, "Sir, how did you get that lion out of the marble? How did you know there was a lion in the marble?" He said, I first of all had the lion in my heart.
Right.
I saw the lion in my heart, and then I saw the lion in the marble. You're saying you saw Adventures of Cohen in your heart.
Yes.
What's it like to see something you believe in your heart?
It's scary because you don't know how it'll be received when you put it out there, you know. Being published
You afraid?
Yeah, because trying to get something published, it's all about telling the world, I have something to say. Please listen to what I have to say. You don't know if it'll be knocked about. It really was knocked about. The publishing house, it was a long road, you know, filled with rejections and
you
heartache.
heard negative voices inside you saying, "Oh, stop that. Why are you doing that?
Well,
You're wasting time."
I heard them on the outside, and I internalized it, just like the
and what
children.
were some of the voices you heard?
From the outside saying it won't go, it won't catch on.
Who's going to buy that?
Right. So, and then I internalized.
You're
I
wasting
say,
your
wonder if
time
I
again,
wasted my
Keva.
time because it was so many. You know, there were. You know, I work and then to come home and have all these Zoom meetings with trying to figure. You know, with the publishers, with the artists. It was
frustrating.
a lot, and there's a lot of drafts you have to do, and then you know what you want. So when people are trying to say, okay, just let that go so it could go to the next level, I'm like, nope. You have to do it right or don't do it.
So you can understand why
anyway.
people give up.
I mean, I don't know if that's a pass to say give up, because when you really want something, Dr. Allen, you have to go for it. You really have to go for it.
Especially if your name is Keva Bethel.
Especially,
you don't give up.
Okay, well, at the passing of Sir Sidney Poitier, they interviewed Ken and Sebastian Campbell on the news, and he said that's his message to Bahamians, and I want to echo that. Just if you have a dream, if you have a vision, never give up. Just never give up on it.
The poet Blake said, "Giving up is the end." Yeah. Giving up is the end. If you can't move beyond giving up, it's over. Yeah. So you said, Keva, I was not going to give up.
No. I even had an author coach along the way that who I had
An
hired.
author what?
An author coach to help me out with trying to secure an author representative, and he was like very sarcastic, didn't think it would go. Now this is somebody I hired to coach me to help to polish it up, and he was just like, oh, only a certain sector of society will buy that, and I don't know. And I was like, wow, so it's like you can't even pay for good advice these days. That was another disappointment, So but if something's on the inside of you, you just have to, go with it.
What was it like to finally see it in print?
I felt it was so surreal. It was so surreal because it was such a long road with seeing no, no, no.
It came by, how did it come? FedEx? How did you get your first copy?
It came. I had a shipper, so I went to collect it.
What was it
and
like to see the first copy?
It was surreal. Like it. Well, there was a little because even my shipment got a little, disoriented. I don't want to say messed up. So it's like I ordered a certain amount and I went through. I was like, this don't feel right. I went through and counted. I had to go call the shipper and say, hey, I'm missing some copies. I had to go back to the publisher. Even that, like, tried to steal my joy and cause it to be frustrating. So it's like I couldn't focus. Like, oh, this is a nice, picture book. It's like, hold on, wait, something's not right. So every step of the way there was opposition. Like I had to go back to the publisher and, hey, y'all shorted me. I ordered,
Every step of the way.
Every step of the way.
There was opposition.
Yep.
But you kept on.
I had to. I really wanted our children to have something to be proud of, Yeah.
And will it be just one book?
Oh no, sir! It's going to be a series. So as I wrote the first story, I left a cliffhanger, like stay tuned for more adventures with Cohen, not even knowing what the more adventures would be. And as we got into more and more lockdowns, I was like, oh, let's send them on this adventure, let's send them on that adventure. And I started to play around with different plots. And soon enough, more stories, started spilling out of me as I started to, reflect on my own childhood. So book 2, it'll be about they're going to a farm. And I sent that to my publisher, and they've already accepted it for publication. So hopefully, I've done book 3, book 4, book 5, and there's possibly a book 6, but they've already accepted book 2, so I'll start to, liaison with them to polish up. And then, with children, you're gonna have to have a back-to-school version, then a Christmas story, and a sports story.
But the general name is still Adventures with Cohen.
That's the name of the series.
Okay.
So this will be like book 1 in the series. Coronavirus changes everything, and then book 2 will be about a trip to a farm. And
book 3?
There's a back-to-school story that's going to be character counts, and book 4 is a Christmas story, The Greatest Gift, and book 5 is about their baseball team. So that one is going to be Persistence Pays, and yeah.
Wow, very elaborate. And all this was in your heart, in your head. You saw it. Well,
it started with the first one, just trying to document for the child, what's happening with coronavirus. And soon I was like, oh, like he's a little boy, so obviously there won't be just one thing that happens in his life, So I want the children to come on this journey with him to see how he traverses along life's trails, yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
And before it was published, I said, could you read me a little portion of it?
I did.
And I was really blessed by hearing it.
Well, thank you.
Because I remember my teachers would read to me in school, too, as a little kid. We had the Royal Readers.
Yes.
We had Mother Goose, the Big Fat Hen. And I remember these stories. The Lonely Pig.
And they stayed with you your entire life,
right? The Giving
right?
Tree. Red Riding Hood.
Yeah.
Mother Goose. It's amazing, all these stories. And as you were reading, it flowed back.
You never forgot them.
Yeah.
And that's the point. That's why, in our work, there's a saying that footprints on fresh cement last a lifetime. So we have to be careful of the imprint that we're putting on children's hearts because it'll stay with them for the rest of their life. It'll say we really have to watch how we're treating our children.
And one of the greatest things we could do is just read them stories.
Yeah.
And so Adventures of Cohen now becomes another book Bahamians can use
Yes, yeah.
to read to their children.
Yes. There'll be underlying moral teachings and, biblical principles, but you make it underlying so it reads like a story so the child is excited, but really, you're imprinting his or her heart to say, well, hey, this is the way that you should be, These are the things that you should do.
So in a strange way, the tragedy of the COVID pandemic gave birth to your book.
It did. It did. Yep.
It's always interesting that life is always involves loss and pain,
Yeah.
lament. But if we could see the beauty in the lament plus beauty equals art or
Okay.
poetry. And it seems that's what you've done, Keva.
Oh.
We're going to take a break and be right back.